Hey guys, as mentioned in my last video, I'm going to go ahead and do a deck tech of my Bant control list. The list right now is suited for the meta. Obviously, it's subject to change. Cards are subject to change with the changing meta. Yeah, so to save time, let's get right into it. But first, I'm going to give a shout out to my friend Josh, who came up to me a while ago and asked me why I wasn't doing these videos anymore. And at the time, I answered, I didn't really know how to answer that question. But he told me that my videos were really good. He enjoyed watching my deck tech, so that just gave me incentive to start this whole thing back up with a new standard. So yeah, this is for you, Josh. So let's get right into the creature base of the deck. We've got one Snapcaster Mage. You don't want more than two because this deck doesn't run as many instants and sorceries as a lot of other control decks. So one is completely okay. If you want more value out of it, you've got Angel Serenity and Restoration Angel to recur him. And one is completely okay. You don't want to see this guy when you have only 4 seats in your graveyard. That's happened to me a couple times. But otherwise, he is terrific. Being able to flashback into Azorius Charm is awesome against aggressive decks, such as mono red or green white or blue white. And yeah, he's just a good card. Funny story about Snapcaster Mage. I've actually used to run him in my deck. Instead, this used to be a 4th Jace, but one of the fnms, the friend who was lending me Jaces before was actually using him that week, and I had 3. So I had to improvise and substitute a card from my 4th Jace, which happened to be this card. And I just fell in love with the card after I did it. My 4th Jace eventually came in the mail, and he's just sitting in my binder right now. Not for trade, but he's just there in case I ever do need 4 Jaces. Next card, we've got 3 Restoration Angels. The card's a total house in terms of value. You've got Thragtusk to blink. You've got Snapcaster to blink. Those are the only 5 creatures in the deck that you can actually blink with the card. I mean, there's obvious tokens, but you don't want to blink tokens. So that's why we only run 3, is because there's only 5 targets. If you want to get more value, Angel Serenity does that for you. Angel Serenity does so much for you. It's not even funny. Next card, we've got Thragtusk, 4 of them. Allows you to stabilize. Pretty much immune to wrath effects, and arguably the best creature in standard right now. Easily splashable as well. Next card. Last 2 cards are the creatures. We've got 2 Angel Serenities. Total house, talked about her a bunch. It's just because she does so much for this deck. She exiles your own cards, and when she dies, you get card advantage. She exiles your opponent's cards, and when she dies, they return to their hand. And that just sets your opponent behind at least a turn. Granted, they recast the creatures that they got back the turn of. So she is just really, really good. Being a 5/6 flyer, she's immune to a lot of the removal in standard right now, namely the burn spells from red, such as Museum Mortars, and a Bonfire still doesn't really take care of her unless they do it for 6, which is really hard to pull off. Next, we've got 2 Dissipates. I'm not running Syncopates because I just don't like the card. I think Dissipate's just strictly better, unless you're in a 2-mana situation where sure, I can see Syncopate because it turns their play, your opponent's play, into just nothing. You can just counter whatever your opponent's going to play. But other than that, Dissipate is just better. It has the same effect in that it exiles a card, And for 3 mana, you can get into scenarios where you can dissipate and then like flash in Restoration Angel, end of turn, or Snapcaster flashing something else, or giving something else flashback and then casting that. Whereas with Syncopate, you can't do that because oftentimes you're tapping a lot of your mana, a good portion of your mana rather, to play the card. Next I've got, sorry guys, 3 Detention Spheres. It used to be 3 Detention Spheres and 1 O-Ring, but control isn't as prevalent anymore. Like it's still a very good deck. You just won't see as much control in the meta. So the fact that you won't be encountering a lot of it made me cut the O-Ring. So the 3 Detention Spheres, it just you get a lot of value from it. You can hit a lot of the decks that run 4-of, such as blue-white aggro, blue-green or green-white aggro, mono-red more or less, and zombies especially. That's where it really matters. Next card I've got 4 Supreme Verdicts. This card is the Wrath effect in the deck. It turns into 5 with the Snapcaster Mage. That's why I'm only running 4, and obviously you can't have more than 4 Supreme Verdicts. 2 of them become Terminus and zombies get really big, but for now I like playing all 4 Supreme Verdicts in the main. Just because you can Farseek and then go turn 3 Supreme Verdict, which I think is a lot more reliable than just miracling a Terminus. And that's just like a turn 3 Supreme Verdict just shuts down like a bunch of aggro decks. Next I've got 3 Azorius Charms. The fact that this card has so many abilities, all of which are relevant, just makes this card really, really good in this deck. The lifelink is really beneficial when you're playing against aggressive decks and you have a creature or 2 on the field with which you can use the lifelink ability to stabilize. And the majority of the time your creatures aren't below 3 power, so when you do swing, you're getting at least enough life to survive another what's it called, the spear, Searing Spear or Searing Spear. The draw ability is not that good actually. You side it out against control. It does help you hit your land drops, and then the pseudo removal is amazing against aggressive decks where you can basically time walk them, especially with cards such as Stormcrook Noble. They go turn 1 Noble, turn 2 Ass Zealot, swing in. You Azorius turn their Noble, and even at any time, it doesn't have to be turn 2. The Noble loses all their counters and they have to recast them. It's pretty much a dead draw. They'd rather be drawing like a burn spell at that point. Next, we've got 3 Sphinx's Revelations. A lot of people run 4. I think that's too much, and I don't have a 4th one. But I think 3 is enough. I wouldn't even find room to fit a 4th one in. 3 is enough. It's like a Blue Sun Zenith, but it generates life, gives you life as well, which is really good against like aggressive decks. And yeah, card advantage. That's what control's all about. Next, we've got 4 Farseeks. Obvious mana fixer. It ramps into a lot of your 4 mana cards that you can cast on turn 3, which is excellent. You've got Jace, you've got Restoration Angel, you've got Supreme Verdict, that you can all cast on turn 4 if you can play Farseek on turn 2, which oftentimes you can. Next, we've got the Planeswalkers. 1 Garruk. A lot of people believe that this guy is the best Planeswalker in Standard right now. Yeah, he's really good. I wouldn't really exactly know what the best Planeswalker is, but I like all of the ones in this deck equally. This guy generates multiple threats in the control mirror. He's okay against the aggro decks, And the fact that he's a Garruk that can draw you cards, that is just phenomenal in a control deck. You'll see that all the Planeswalkers in this deck can draw cards for you. Next, we've got 2 Tamio the Moon Sage. Honestly, I think I might take one out and put in a second Garruk and move that one to the sideboard, because I do have a Garruk in my sideboard right now. But for now, Tamio is great. Her emblem is devastating. You get her emblem and you pretty much win the game. Keeping creature tapped isn't very important in aggressive matches, but in control matches where they're trying to beat down with like Angel Serenity, you just keep it tapped and they can't really do anything. And yeah, she draws cards. Next, and last but not least, we've got 3 Jaces. Like I mentioned earlier, it used to be 4. That also got a little bit redundant because you would Jace into a Jace, and then you would Jace, and then you would like Factor Fiction into a Jace when you've already stabilized, and then you pretty much just have a dead card. So I think 3 is the right number to be playing right now. Obviously, when a lot of other people start playing like more Jaces, then you use Jace to Legend Rule their Jace. But 3 is very good right now. This guy's pretty much self-explanatory. Yeah, I've never actually been able to pull off his ultimate in a competitive game. Alright, so next we've got lands. I'm just going to go through these real quick. We're playing all the shocks, 4 Glacial Fortress, 4 Hallowed Fountains, 4 Sun Petal Groves, 4 Temple Gardens, or not all the shocks, all the duels rather, just, whoops, 4 Hinterland Harbors. And then because the deck is so blue heavy, you need double blue on turn 3 for Dissipate, double blue for Tamio, double blue for Jace, double blue for Sphinx's Revelation. We've got 2 islands. The remaining 3 cards, I get a little greedy with the mana base, but it's worked out perfectly fine for me. I've got 2 Caverns to fight those pesky blue-white flash decks, which have kind of fallen out of favor because people are playing Caverns. And then last but not least, we've got 1 Alchemist Refuge. Used to be 2, but I like 1 because you want to see it in a control matchup, and in those types of matchups, you get to the late game where you see enough cards that generally you'll see this card. It just adds so much depth to the game. Being able to flash in Detention Sphere, flash in Supreme Verdict, flash in Planeswalkers, I've even done Planeswalkers, flash in Thragtusk, Angel Serenity, like all those cards, it's just ridiculous. Alright, so sideboard, I'm going to go through this really quick before this video reaches like 15 minutes. 1 Garruk, good for control matches, okay for aggro matches. I don't know if you bring in the second one against the aggressive matches, but just because you have so many other cards to bring in, but definitely a good card. These are the cards that you bring in for aggressive matches. You've got 4 Centaur Healers, obviously 3 life and then through 3 body is great. 3 Geist-Sustained Traps. You bring these in for decks that can't deal with hexproof creatures, such as Epic Experiment. You'll likely run into one if you play like FNM tournaments, or not so much like competitive scenes, but FNM. If blue, white, red mid range is still a thing, you bring in the Geist to fight their Geists. All around, an okay card in standard right now. Not the best, but okay. 2 Sigarda is definitely by far my favorite card in this deck, or in the sideboard. Beats Jund, beats mono red, beats zombies, beats a bunch of decks that like she is just crazy. Obviously you don't side her against control, but yeah. 2 Purify the Graves, Reanimator matches, blue-white flash matchups, And sometimes even the Bant control mirror, you bring in like one to fight their maybe one of Snapcaster Mage and definitely their Angel Serenity. 2 negates. Control matches, like essentially. I don't know when else you would actually bring this in. Maybe against the giant mid-range decks, just because Garrick is such a big problem. And then last but not least, we've got 1 Ray of Revelation. This card, you bring it against any deck that's running enchantments, such as tokens. You bring it in against control mirrors to get their detention spheres or O-rings. You bring it in against just enchantment cards. You'll know the deck. You'll know what to bring it in for when you play the deck, because oftentimes they'll be playing main deck like O-rings and stuff. But if not, such as like blue-white flash, you can just kind of expect it, just because you're a control deck and they don't want you to have resolving planeswalkers in play. But yeah, that's my deck, guys. Questions, comments, suggestions on how to improve on it are welcome in the comments below. And yeah, if you guys want to play test some games, I haven't done this in a while, but I'm open on Skype. I think I also have a Cockatrice account that I can actually put up, and I can get a put a username down below. It'll probably just be my YouTube username. So yeah, just let me know, and I'll just like update my Cockatrice or something if you guys want to play test. Yep, thanks again, guys, and see you later.